The system is kind of slow today. All right, so we'll try to not cover a few things today. Uh, so last week we try to create like some cleanup, as well as just going through the form, right? So adding and how to configure like each interface to make sure like it's kind of like validated, and only required fields are kind of put, right? So we know how to make things work, and also we try to add new contact right from here. So we added contact from there, but for each contact we added this interface, right? Manually we created this interface. uh, like we prefer this table format because like vendor has one-to-many relationship, right? So because of one-to-many relationship, we added like a grid, right, for this specific, you can see from your side which objects actually refer here, so you can actually see this functionality like Appian provide us, right? So there is you can click on that, and then finally you'll see like which object is actually incorporated in this specific page, right? So you don't need to go to the designer or something, but you can have like a shortcut on this page. Click here and just click open. So it's automatically open the interface from the site, right? So on this guy, so what we did is we pulled the grid layout, right? Sorry, like a read-only grid. Added a few fields, right? I actually, like, the first thing we did is actually just specifying the source of our record type. So our source is actually source of the grid. So the source is actually record type. So we selected the record type for each guy, right? Like for the grid. Come on, grid layouts right here. Right, we specify the record type on this guy. Calling our record type on this field. So automatically Appian fill out all the fields in the form, right, and then just displayed on this grid. So we did some cleanup, right? So we just removed like whatever we don't need, right? You can also like add, like if you need like extra things, so you can add new fields there. Plus we made some kind of change, right? So this is a grid layout, right? So this is a grid layout the grid read-only grid like configuration. So there is a lot of configuration we covered, right? How to refresh, how to add action, how to make adding spacing, order style or something for that specific uh, grid layout. Like to configure each field right in the grid, right? So we just like, now I'm on the grid level side, level on the top. If I want to update each field, so I have to click on each field. So on the right side there will be a component configuration only for that specific field, right? The first name. So if you want to make a change on the first name, right, the field, you can update this guy, so automatically reflect your change will reflect right here, right? But I don't need here, so just want to show you whatever change you made on the page, like on this specific field. When you click on that specific field, you will have like the component configuration opened on the right side, and you can do all this stuff, right? So you can make sure the display value, what values needs to be displayed on this grid, and what kind of sort field should be there, right? And the visibility is nothing but for like who can see this field, right? So we have 1 2 3 like at least 7 or 8 field right there, right? First name, last name, vendor, email, city, state, and inactive, right? So I want to show like only like four fields for the supervisor and every field for the manager. So that way, like we can control with this visibility rule, right? So visibility, so you can add like a logic here. So we tried that actually last time as well. Like you can use like each member of user group and pass the logged in user and the group name as a constant. Then you can just play around the visibility rule on that. All right. Uh, so this is actually the overall things like we covered like last week. So now today, like what we need to do is, uh, okay. So this guy, we are here like just almost like finishing the vendor information, the contact. We give the contact information from here, right? The contact from the supervisor, so they can add new contact from their homepage. Right, so we cleaned up this page as well, like added like a required field. So once they select the vendor, so we automatically associated that contact to that specific vendor, right? So today, like, let's do something different, right? So let's create some kind of like manually create our pros model, right? We're gonna create like our pros model to add a new contact, like to add a new contact on for Best Buy, right? So now, like from outside, when I click on add, so automatically I see like automatically it will give me a page, so I can select the vendor from the drop down, right? But on this section, right, I'm on the Best Buy, so I need to have like a new add contact add contact action. When I click on the add contact action, automatically it will populate the vendor portion with the Best Buy, right? And it's gonna be read only because I'm actually adding the contact inside the Best Buy. So I will add that like specifically here, right? So to do this, what I need to do is actually we need to have like a Nipros model, right? To add contact to vendor, right? So we need to create like a new pros model. So today we're gonna focus like how to create pros model, right? So we're gonna like spend some time how to configure pros model manually, right? So right now like so we see like just generating action directly uh, from the record type. So Appian did most of the work for us, right, on the back end. So today we're gonna face it, right? So we're gonna create a new pros model and try to configure it manually. So I'll introduce you like some of the concepts of like creating pros model and creating just not creating but also like creating an interface and how to integrate this interface uh, to our pros model, right? So all right. So now I'm trying to use like I'm gonna use the same form. Okay. Now like before we got there, wanna open my add contact. Sorry, the contact. Right. So I wanna create like new contact. So no. Okay, I wanna actually open this contact page. See like with the interface. Okay. I don't see the interface there. So now I want to copy first. Like I want to make sure I want to call the same interface. So I will show you like the way how to quickly create an interface, right? So like now I have this contact page. I want to create another one, but I want to use that form for new contact from the Best Buy or like from the specific vendor. Things are so slow. Right, I'm going to action here. and I want to actually get the form from the action, from the from the create action. Let me see, like if it's six kind of. All right. So this is a contact. So I want to get action from this pros model. I want to get the interface from there, but this time I'm gonna create my interface from scratch. But I will show you a shortcut how to create an interface with some of your template, right? So now I'm gonna use this guy as my template, right? So open this guy for me, please. All right, so it's right here. I want to actually just get the process start from. So this is the creator updates vendor applicant contact, right? I want to create a new interface. Like I'm going to designer. I will go to my application and I'm going to create a new interface for adding contact. Here I'm going to add like a new interface. Yes, Simon.
ትንሽ ስሎ ዳውን ባይ
Okay.
ፈጠን
Okay.
ፎሎ ላረገህ እየሞከርኩ ነው ግን ፈጠን
አብሽር ቀስ ብዬ ያ እጃችሁን ያወጣችሁ ተረጋጋ በሉኝ። አብሽር። Okay, so here ምንድን ያደረኩትኝ I just got the kind of like show you like how to see like where we can find the interface, right? So for this interface, like this interface is nothing but it is the interface I'm using for adding new contact, right? So when the supervisor go to the vendor page and try to create a contact, so this is the contact they see, right? This is the form, right? So I want to duplicate the same thing, right? So I want to duplicate the same thing, and I can use the same, make it like dynamic, but I don't want to do that right now. Like I don't want to confuse you, right? But what I will do is I want to create the same stuff, the same interface, but this time I'm gonna create only for specific vendor. So I will gonna pass the value, right? For Best Buy, if it's Best Buy, I'm gonna pass the value to Best Buy, right? So now, like to do that, I don't want to create like just I can create an interface like this way, right? So you drag and drop and then create all this stuff. But to save some time, what we can do is we can copy the name of the interface and we can go and add like there is I created an interface right here just to create a new interface. Click on new, right? Click on new and interface, right? So click on new and interface. If I click like from scratch, so it's gonna be like empty page, right? So I have to drag and drop and configure it. But I want to duplicate it, right? I want to actually copy the whatever I have on that interface. So I want to duplicate the existing interface, right? So I'm gonna select this option and I'm gonna type the interface to duplicate. So I want to duplicate this interface. So I will have that same configuration. So I don't want to make any change there, right? So in this case now, like I have this guy and creator update view to something like that, like contact from a vendor, right? I'm gonna make some change, right? From vendor, I want to add like or create update contact, right? So I'm gonna create this guy. So now when I create this, it will actually land me to like already configured interface. So the same as whatever we have for the adding and delete, updating contact. All right. So this is actually what we have, right? For that the same thing, the same, like we have the same form, right? So the same form. This is like contact, but I have it this guy as like from vendor, right? So now I'm gonna play a little bit, right? So I'm gonna play around like on this guy. So now like And instead of like right now, we're actually typing like Best Buy, right? Best Buy, and I got this guy as like Best Buy, right? So this is actually a drop down, so I can select. So what I need is actually for this form, I want to pass Best Buy, like because I'm on a Best Buy page. I want to click when click add Best Buy, so I will pass like from record the value of the vendor, like the ID of the vendor. So that way, like this, when I open this guy, I don't need to like fill out this form, right? So it's automatically I need to get like Best Buy. Like how to get this guy? Like first, like let's try to configure this guy, right? So the same, everything is gonna be the same, but what I need is actually I wanna just move this up right there or something, and I want to make sure it's kind of a read only, right? So when I click on the Best Buy, I'll get a Best Buy thing, right? So let me click on this guy and then see what's going on, right? So first thing I'm gonna do is here is actually selecting from the record type, right? Select the record from here and select 7 to from here, right? So now I'm gonna actually do this, and like let me see if it is okay. All right, so this is the way it's actually built, right? So instead of doing this, right, it's getting directly from this value. uh, so what I need to do is I need to pass this vendor ID, right? So I need to pass some vendor ID, like for example 1 or 2 or something, and then let's try that way, right? uh, and instead of do this guy, I want to do this as vendor ID, vendor applicant ID, something like that. That's fine. I'm gonna do the array bank. So for this like array bank, we don't have vendor ID yet, right? That's why we're actually seeing this error message. So I want to actually pass this value from lower environment, from record type to the process, right? So I need to have a channel, right? So I need to have a rule input. So I'm gonna create this vendor ID, and this vendor ID type is gonna be number integer. Right, number integer. I'm gonna create this guy. Right now, if you see this, right, looks good, right? So the value of this vendor, the value like, but now if I type something, if you see now, like if I type something, Best Buy, still Appian, right? So now, like if you see here, like it's not actually saving anything, right? Because I'm saving it right here, but the value is different. I'm saving it right here, like on the vendor application ID. But if I if I go out, like if I select this guy, it's not saving it, right? It's automatically going out, right? Because I'm not actually displaying the value from here. What I need to display the value is actually from the vendor ID, right? So if I pass the value, like to test your interface, click on test, and then I want to pass and then like test my interface by passing 1, right, on the vendor ID. Then if I click test, right, I see now Best Buy right here, right? That's cool. Now, like what I need is actually this one shouldn't be like someone like because read only, right? It's automatic. I can't delete this, right? Because the value is right there, right? So what I need to do is actually I don't want to make this thing is actually interactable, right? So I want to make sure it's read only version, right? So here, so I'm gonna check, and then I'm gonna add like a disable, right? We can make it disable, or we can make it like a read only. So that's fine, right? So I'm gonna like make like disable read only. So any of the two, that's fine. Like you can make that, right? But here it's a required field, right? So do we need like the required field for read only? We don't have like required field, right? Because we have to pass this value to make this work, right? So let's make sure and then avoid these read only things out of it. Right now, our vendor ID, right? So if you see here, vendor is actually read only, so no one, like we are actually passing from inside from the record type, and then it's actually displaying right there. So it's read only, right? So we're not able to select. So we know the vendor ID is actually 1. That's Best Buy. So the only thing I need to do is maybe is to make some kind of adjustment, right? Like making this on the top, right? So now, like, like vendor ID here. So what we need to do is actually adding, like, first name, last name, and that information, right? Clear enough, guys? Any question? እንዴት እንዳደረኩት ገብቷችኋል? እንትኑን like on this interface, what I did is nothing, right? ጥያቄ አለ?
No, just
Clear
hear
ነው?
it. Not exactly. If you repeat it, it would be easier.
Okay, so I just duplicate the form, right? Just duplicate the form, but what I need is actually like this form right there, like the original form, if you see here, because we are actually creating a contact from outside, right? And we don't know which vendor we are adding contact, right? ኮንታክቶቹን አድ የምናደርግበትን ቬንደር አናውቀውም፣ right? So ለዛ ቬንደሮቹን ሊስት አውት እናደርጋቸዋለን ከዚህ። So they can type and then select the vendor, whatever the vendor on our side, and then they can add it, right? አድ ማድረግ ይችላሉ። Right now, like እኛ እየሰራን ያለ ነው ምንድነው? We are actually adding a contact for the vendor. So we know the vendor. So we are inside the Best Buy, right? Best Buy ውስጥ ያለ ነው, or like Staples or somewhere ያለ ነው, and we want to add a vendor, right? So then this is actually not valid, right, for us. Valid አይደለም, because we don't need to, like, we know, like, we're adding for Best Buy, and then make ይሄንን Best Buy selectable field ማድረግ አይጠበቅብኝም, because the problem, right? ለምንድነው እንደዛ ማናደርገው? like ይሄን ኦፕን ባደረገው ከቤስት ባይ ውስጥ አሳልፌ ወጥቼ ይሄኛውን ቢቀይሩት ከዛ ኮንታክታችን የምንፈልገው እስከ ነቢ ላይክ ለዚህኛው ኮንታክት እንጂ ለቤስት ባይ ወይም ደግሞ ላይክ እዛው ስላለንበት ቬንደር ኮንታክት አይደለም የሚሆነው ማለት ነው። So to avoid that, like, once actually we click on add contact from the vendor, so this vendor value should be read only field, right? So interacted, like user try to interact ለማድረግ ቢፈልጉም read only ወይም disable እናደርግባቸዋለን, because value pass የሚደረገው ከሪከርዱ ነው, right? I know, like, when I click from Best Buy ላይ ሆኜ add ሳደርግ Best Buyን አሳልፍለታለሁ ለኢንተርፌስ። So this is how I do it, right? I just pass the vendor ID. When I click on add contact from that specific vendor, I'm gonna pass the ID of the Best Buy, right? Then it's automatically populated, and then it's actually read only. So whatever the information I fill here is gonna be related to the Best Buy contact. So you can't change the vendor right there, right? So that's why I make it is actually read only, and then everything's gonna be the same, right? So the other thing on this guy is actually want to make sure right here, right? So for example, I pass 1 right here, right? Just to give you an idea right here, right? So this guy, for example, I added this value, right? I added this guy, right? Now like when I try to create this guy, right? Try to create this form, right? We'll try to submit this form. I should expect the values right here, right? All the values are right here, right? First name, last name, gender, phone number, email address, and everything, right? So whatever I submitted, it's gonna be on my record. So the only thing is, what is my vendor ID, right? Where is my vendor applicant ID, right? So if I submit this guy, so I will have, the process may fail, right? Or like if there is no restriction on the backend, I will have like a new entry on the database, but the value for that vendor ID is going to be null, right? So ምንም አይነት value አይኖረውም። So እንደዛ ከሆነ ምንድን ነው የሚሆኑት እነዚህ ኮንታክቶች ለየትኛውም ቬንደር አባል አይሆኑም ማለት ነው, right? So we don't know like which one actually አድ ያደረግ ነው. We know like ለቤስ ባይን አድ ያደረግ ነው, but there is no ID, like I mean, as a foreign key, right? So there is no ID on this guy, right? So if I create this guy, like it's gone, right? So it's gonna save it somewhere. The vendor ID thing is actually null, right? So to avoid this, right, when I create, because I'm actually passing this vendor ID as one, as separate, right? I can pass this to the pros model and then do the data match on the pros level. But the best way to do it is actually before you leave this form, when you click on a create button, right? Create button. Uh, right here, so there is a saving to option right there. I'm gonna open this guy. This is actually when we try to save, right? So like when I create this, I try to save something. So this is actually the logic I'm actually doing on the back end, right? So here, if you see here, whatever the value here, right? So for modified by modified date is actually automatically I'm saving this guy, right? For the update, for the create as well, like I'm saving the created by and created on information. We're not actually fill out this form like on the form, but automatically when you click create, so automatically we're saving it, right? Same way, I'm gonna do the same thing. So I use this function a bank save, right? I add like a bank save. Right, so a bank save, what it did is actually it's actually having like two parameters. Just one is the target and one is the value, right? So it's actually telling me which target you want me to save, right? So I want to save somewhere, right? So I'm gonna add like with the record right here on this record, right? But which field like on that record, I'm gonna add it to vendor applicant ID field, right? And the value I need to pass it actually is actually whatever I have on the vendor ID. So slow. So whatever the value I'm actually passing from the record to the interface. Right there. So this is the vendor ID, right? So I'm actually saving this guy. I'm adding this logic here. Like I save like a bank save this record, this target, right? On this record type, this specific ID, vendor applicant ID field, right? This is a foreign key for me, like just for relationship, right? And what I need to pass is actually a vendor ID, right? So whatever I passed from the record type. So here, I just click OK. Right, so if you see here, right, so I have like vendor ID 1, right? So, but I'm nothing right here, right? I'm gonna click like create again, right? So during this creation, like, when I click create, whatever the code I save, right? A bank save, right? So when I click here, I'm actually like, asking, on the back end, I'm asking like, there is a logic just to save the vendor applicant ID, right? So whatever the value we have, right? So the target is this record with the vendor ID field, and the value I need to pass is the vendor ID. So if I click create here, I should expect something to change here, right there, right? If it's here, the vendor applicant ID is actually saved right here, right? So now, like we know how to pass things, right? So if we miss something, right? I just pass this vendor ID from that form, from that record type, and then pass it to this page, right? Pass it to this interface. And once they fill out the form and then click create, if I don't save it back to that record, like we'll have like some kind of like wrong data on the back end, right? So we don't know which contact for which vendor. So for that case, I'm actually passing this vendor applicant ID as one right there, man. So when I click create, now it should be fine, right? So click on save again. So now I'm done, right? So I don't want to do anything else, but my interface is ready. All right, so okay, cool. It's actually saving, right? Now what we need is actually we have this interface, right? But we don't have a process, right? So like whenever like we try to add a contact, right? Add a contact from this page, we need some kind of action to initiate, right? So when I click on add, it will automatically give me a pop-up, right? So it's just gonna be a pop-up for me, and I'm gonna display this form for them, right? I'm gonna display this form. I need to make sure, like, the vendor is actually whatever the vendors they are actually working on, right? So now, like, just to add this action, I need one process model, right? So let's jump in and create a new process model, right? So now I'm gonna create here a process model from scratch. Okay, I'm gonna create a process model. This process model, I will say add vendor contact. Okay, and the description is a process to add new vendor contact. All right. So when you create a process model, right? So the first thing, like, when you create a process model, the first thing you have to do is actually, adding the, just make sure always, right? Don't forget to add a security on all the groups, on all the design process, something like on all the design objects. Right there, so admin, so it's gonna be admin. That's fine. So once I add this, like, automatically it will actually taking me to the process model, configuration panel, right? So this panel will it's kind of like so slow today, right? So any process, right? So when you create any process, so now we're actually trying to configure some process. We're trying to orchestrate a process, right? So we are actually try to configure an action, wanna, like, add a contact from the vendor, right? So I'm gonna add, like, one workflow, right? So that for that workflow, just to orchestrate, I need a process model. So that's every process model, there will be a start and then end node, right? So that means this is actually every process model have the start and end node, right? So we should have like a start time, right, start point, and we do some stuff inside, and then we will gonna end it, right? So in our case now, we're gonna start adding like an interface. Yes, Sim.
Um, like previously we were saying that Appian by itself like creates a process model for us. So what's the need for us to do it manually? Why do we need to do it?
That is actually you're gonna do it, like, multiple times, right? So when you generate this, right, Appian will gonna generate it for you. But in real projects, we will create a process model from scratch because of like many reasons, right? The first reason is actually is you wanna actually do some kind of data competition, right? Or like some kind of logic, like pulling some information from some table, load it, do some data configuration change, or something like that, right? Uh, or uh, or like, for example, you wanna display the interface, like instead of like start form or something, before you load the page, right? So before I'm loading this page, I need to do some kind of uh, like just pulling data from some source, different source, combine them, do cleanup, and then populate this form, right? uh, in our case here, like if I go to the action, sorry, which one? Right here, right? For example, like I'm actually adding, like, actually here, right? I'm actually adding a new action on this record type, right? So we can add this, we can generate an action, right? So when we generate an action, so it's automatically what Appian thinks is actually it's going to generate a new action from this field, right? From whatever you have on that specific record type. Just show me. So here, right? When I generate a new record action, right? For example, like generate new record action. So it will ask me to create, update, or delete, right? So right now I'm actually on applicant, right? I'm on applicant record type, but I want to generate an action to update applicant contact page, right? Something's they're not like on the they're on relationship, but like if I create the generate this guy, it's gonna generate a record like actions like for me as like creating or updating or deleting the applicant, right? So the same thing I did generating like from here as well, right? Like contact, from the contact, when I generate this guy, I have like this action, like adding contacts, deleting contact and updating contact. So now I'm trying to actually update this record type from this record type. So that way, like if I generate it from Appian, it will not do for me, right? Because whenever like when I generate, it's actually generating an action to update this specific record type. So that's why like even if like for this time, right, and sometimes like to try to update this, to generate and then update this action, sometimes we are not actually using the Appian generated stuff, right? So we have to create our own custom record type, a custom process model, and then we can add them like manually. So that's why we have this option, right? So like in each process model, there is two options, okay? One is actually adding or generating a process model from like with the Appian functionality, right? Generate Appian action, or we will have like configure new action manually, right? So this is actually once we generate thing, right? So adding like most of the time, like generating new record action will help us most of the time is for just first time, right? Just for creating, updating, and deleting, right? But there will be a lot of logic, right? So right now I'm an applicant, but I want to add the same action on applicant. From here, from applicant page, I want to add a contact. I'm going to use the same form like from the contact record type, but those actually related. But I'm not, if I generate this guy, I'm not able to like touch the the applicant contact, right? So the applicant ላይ ሆኜ ምን እያደረኩኝ ነው, right? Just to be more clear, right? I am on applicant page, right? Applicant page ላይ ሆኜ I want to add or delete or update applicant contact ነው, right? So Appian record type actually, right? So Appian record type like generate record action የሚለው functionality, when you click on that, it will actually generate ለኛ generate ያደርግልናል አክሽኖቻችንን። But generate የሚያደርገው action is gonna update that specific ኮንታክቶችን ነው, like this specific record type ነው, vendor applicant ማለት ነው። But in my case, I want to add new action on the vendor applicant record type, but that action is actually going to affect the applicant contact, right? So ይሄኛውን affect የሚያደርገው ይሄኛውን ሳይሆን የኮንታክትን ነው። So in that way, like if I generate this guy, Appian will not generate it for me, right? So that's why like I'm going to create like a process model form for that specific thing. So that way you will learn how to create a process model manually, because you're going to create it multiple times, like on when you're actually on a role or like on a project. You will get a chance to work on like different separated process model, right? So even if like process model we're not actually like configure it in the only on the action, but I'm gonna actually give you like some insight about like the rest of like an hour or something. I'm gonna spend like more time on process model, so you will have like some knowledge about how to configure process model, how to just use different smart service from the process model level, right? So that's why we are actually using like a configure manual, right? Because multiple, there is only like few there will be like only like few options to create pros model, using Appian generate record action functionality. After that, so most of them like on real project is you have to do it manually, right? So it's kind of easy, like once you understand that, it's kind of easy, and then it's kind of like interesting logic, like to create a pros model. Good to know,
Yes, it is. Thank you.
all right, cool. So now I'm gonna add like a kind of simple thing, but I'll try to like just give you like more insight about like pros model, right? So what is pros model? Pros model will help us to orchestrate your workflow, right? So any workflow. Right now, I'm trying to do like one workflow, right? So yeah, workflow ምንድነው? I'm gonna add a contact on for vendor, right? So vendor ላይ ሆኜ add contact ማድረግ ፈልጋለሁ. So I have that specific interface, right? So now what I will gonna do is actually I'm gonna show you here. I'm gonna add like for when they try to like just initiate the process, so they will see what they will see is actually an interface, right? Whatever create a interface ማለት ነው, right? So they're gonna see this guy. So how can I configure this, right? Right, how can I configure this, right? So I want to open, right? I want to open like that interface. Like when I initiate this process, I want to open that interface. So this is actually it comes here, right? So there is a like user input task. So user input task is nothing, right? But I want to I want to add a task for the user, right? So any like when I open this, so there will be some user fill out the form, or some kind of like just do some action on that specific form, right? So that's why actually it's coming here, like on the left side, you see like user input task, right? So if we need some input from user, so we can have like user input task from this guy, right? So there is human task right here, right? So human task, user input task, so some activities. This is actually a process activity system task, right? If I pull this guy and then here, so if I need without any kind of like human interruption, right? In the system, it's manipulating, like pulling data, like calling data from the database, make some updates or something, right? You can do it like with the system script task, right? But if I use like a human, sorry, user input task, so that needs like human task, right? So kind of I can initiate and then right. So for example, like for this user input task, I'm gonna just drag and drop right here. So I'm gonna show you like the different way as well, right? So this is the user input task. So now I added this user input task. So in this user input task, I'm gonna call whatever I created this interface, right? So this is a user input task. Okay, I'm gonna like just double click on this, and then if you see the form right there, right? There is a like multiple tabs, right? General tabs just to make some update, right? The user input task, for example, here, add contact something, just to make some change on the property of the node, right? So it will automatically change, like add contact here. Right, like quick task, just if I want to generate like some kind of task or something, but I don't need it, that's fine. I'm gonna explain that to you as well. On data, right? So if I need like to pass, like for example, like if I want to pass some information, right, from to this interface, right? Or like if I want to once I save, I want to just take that out to the process mode, right? So kind of ዚ ኢንተርፌስ ላይ ማለት ነው ላይክ ያስገባሁት ኢንፎርሜሽን ማስገባት የምፈልገውን ኢንፎርሜሽን ዳታ ለምሳሌ ቅድም ያሳለፍኩት ቬንደር አይዲ 1 ወይም 2 እያልኩኝ ያሳለፍኩትን አለ አይደለ እነሱ ማሳለፍ ከፈለኩኝ ያሰን ኢንፑት I have to add it, right? Input ለዛ ኢንተርፌስ ኢንፑት I have to add them, right? So right now, like I don't want to do that. Like first thing is actually I want to add my user input task ላይ what kind of interface I need to do, right? So I'm gonna add the form first. So automatically Appian sense ያደርጋል, right? So I'm gonna add this guy. So there is an interface I need to pass. So you can, just wherever you saved, right? So you can actually go through that specific folder and then get the interface, or you can do it, still search it, right? Search with the name. So this is actually more fast and easier. So you got this interface, whatever we created, right? So create or update this guy and from vendor. I'm going to select this guy and then click OK. So now, Appian automatically sends like whatever the input we have on this guy, right? So like this, all this record, right? Cancel, is update, or vendor ID, right? So Appian automatically like say like, do you want to automatically create node inputs to match your interface input, right? We have the interface rule inputs. So if you don't want to, like, click no, right? So but why, right? We want them, right? So like lemon manual tasks are like Appian, whatever the Appian functionality alone, right? So when I click yes, it's automatically giving me like, the map, right? So like ruling, like we have like record, cancel, is updates, vendor ID, something like that, right? And then value is actually passed is actually here. If you go to here in input, right, it's Appian automatically created for us, right? So is update vendor ID. So now, like the cool thing, like I want to show right here, right? So this is actually mapped, right? So whatever the value on this guy, right, is actually mapped to this interface. So if it's mapped like this way, so that means from the process, whatever the process value it has, right? So vendor ID 2 or 3 from the process, we're actually passing inside to this guy, like this, right there, like just 1, 2 or something, right? So automatically it's going to populate the value for us. ይህንን value ባናሳልፍ ግን, like, ለዚህ ኢንተርፌስ ቫሉዎቹን ባናሳልፍላቸው ግን it's going to be clean, right? And then we'll create from scratch, right? But if you want to like make an update, right, update ማድረግ ፈልግ or something, I can pass the values through this channel, right? I can pass through this channel, so they will have it this way. All right. So now, so what I need, right? So this is cool, right? This is really cool. So this is actually add contact, all right? So now what I need to do is actually, for example, right? So I want to show you, like, it's not complete. It's like this, right? Just I can, like, just click here and then save and publish, right? I'm gonna save and publish. Like start process for debugging, right? So I'm gonna test this, like how it works, right? So like I'm gonna publish this guy. Like this is actually having some problem, right? If you see here, there is an Appian problem. So what it's actually happening is actually because you see this question mark here. So because this is actually not assigned to anybody else, right? So we have to go to the assignment and assign to somebody else, right? I'm gonna add to whoever, like the property whoever initiate this process, right? This properties from this process automatically. This is nothing. PP initiator is nothing. It's a kind of logged in user, right? Logged in, like ማነው ኢኒሺየት ያደረገው የሚለውን የመጀመሪያው ላይ እኔ ኢኒሺየት ያደርኩ ነው ያንን ዩዘር የሚወስድበት እንትን ነው ማለት ነው, right? So now it's, you see like the question mark is actually removed, and then like you see the user icon. So that means like this specific thing is actually assigned to somebody else, like whoever like initiate this process. So I'm gonna click on here and then click on the start process for debugging. So now, like, it's just like do nothing, right? Just I just added only on this orchestration, I just added only one interface. All right. So if I click here, like now we see, like, it's debugging, like it starts from here and then landed to this page. Like if I open this guy form, right, this is just to see the form, like, just right click and then view form. If you see here, you see the vendor. The vendor is nothing, like, we can add, like, some kind of logic here, some things right here, and then click create, right? But the vendor is not there, right? So because nothing is passed, right? So I'm going to cancel this guy. So if you see here, once I cancel, let's go out and then just end it, right? So I'm going to, so what I need to do is now is actually, I want to show you here in this data is vendor ID, right? For the vendor ID, I want to pass value 1. Okay. So this actually, I want to pass value 1 for this guy, and then I want to test it. right? So like start for debugging. I just debug this, right? So I just like testing this pros model if it's working or not. I just debug this, refresh this guy, and right click here and then vform. So now I should expect best by here. Right? This is, from this process, I'm actually passing a value to this interface. So it's actually getting this specific guy. I don't know. So I can pass this or something, right? Information, right? So I'm going to add right there, right? So I'm going to add this guy. I'm going to add this guy. I'm going to add this guy. I'm going to add this guy and create, right? So now if I click here, nothing is there, right? All right. So I want you to I want you to add like some kind of concept እንዲገባችሁ ፈልጋለሁ። Okay, so ይሄ concept ከገባችሁ like everything is gonna be easy. So the interface ላይ right አስገባሁትኝ like whatever pass ማድረግ የፈለጉትን ዳታ አስገባው እዚህ ኢንተርፌስ ውስጥ። ከዛ በኋላስ right ከዛ በኋላስ like አሁን ለምሳሌ እዚህ ኢንተርፌስ ውስጥ ነው ሁሉ ነገር ያለቀው right. I need to have sorry. Okay, so I need to have this guy. Okay, ይሄኛው ኢንተርፌስ ላይ ያለኝ right. So this interface ውስጥ ነው everything take care of ያረኩት። እዚህ ዳይሬክትሊ ነው ፓስ ያረኩት አንድ ቁጥርን right። አንድ ቁጥርን like for best by pass ያረኩኝ ቫልዩን አስገባው ሞላሁት ፎርሙን ኢኒሼት አረኩኝ ኮምፕሊት አረገ right. So I need actually this whatever like form ውስጥ የሞላሁትን form I want to actually from this form I want to just take this out and then just leave it somewhere here right in the pros model. So right here right, this is actually a pros model value right. So it's kind of like ምንድን ነው የምልበላችሁ like so you have okay, just try to give you like an idea right. So you have like ትልቅ ግቢ ያላችሁ right, ትልቅ ግቢ ያላችሁ so like a lot of people's actually living in this guy in this page ግቢ ውስጥ አሉ like ብዙ ሰዎች ይኖራሉ right. So someone cooked food right on this እዚህኛ ቤት ውስጥ right. So ግባቱን or something like anything like አስገብቶ ኩክ አደረገ now he wants to eat like this guy like either like እያንዳንዱ ጠርቷቸው እዚህ መብላት አለባቸው or ደግሞ like አስገቢ እንትን ለማድረግ so they want to eat like on this like a portion or something መብላት ይፈልጋሉ right. So this person right whatever like he cooked he has to pull out and just ግቢ ውስጥ compound ውስጥ ማስገባት አለበት right. Then everybody can see it right, everybody like from here and then they can come and then grab the food right there right. So participate አድርገው መብላት ይችላሉ. It's kind of the same concept right. I'm actually assume this is actually your form right. So this is your gibi right. So this is your compound right. This is one of the room right. You're gonna have like a lot of room there right. You're gonna create like a lot of like nodes right there right. That's fine. So whatever like this guy cooked right here right, that means like we're actually saving some record in this specific form right. So unless like this guy form ያደረገውን like ወደዚህ አውጥቶት like እዚህ ውጭ ላይ ካላስቀመጠላቸው like they can't see it right. It's gonna be indeed like እዛው በልቶ እዛው ጨርሷል ማለት ነው right. So how can I do that right. So let me just pull this guy and then like whatever like prepare ያደረኩትን data I want to just pull this out and then leave it somewhere here like in the gib used right. So that means like here so any of the rooms right, any of the nodes will gonna access that information right. If I want to update, if I want to use the same information or something I can use it. So right now it's actually right here right. So ግልጽ ነው guys like just let me just እንዲገባችሁ ፈልጋለሁ ይሄኛው. So once you understand this guy it's gonna be like easy for anything right. So now so this is actually like the node right. So like pull out. So if you see here the properties like we don't have anything here right. So what we need is we need to have some sort of like the same kind of thing on the process ላይ ያስፈልገኛል right? ግቢ ውስጥ አሁን ለምሳሌ ሶስት ቴብል ከሆነ የሚያስፈልገው የተሰራበት እንትን ሶስት ቴብል ያስፈልገኛል outside ውስጥ ሶስት ቴብል የያዘው ከሆነ like outside ሶስት ቴብል ያስፈልገኛል ሶስት ቴብል ላይ መደርደር እችላለሁ right? የተለያየ ኢንፎርሜሽን ማለት same thing like ውስጥ ያሉኝን ኢንፎርሜሽኖችን I want to save it somewhere like I want to just save it somewhere outside so I want to save it right? It's the same way right? So the same kind of structure ያላችሁ same kind of እንትን ያላችሁ I want to save it in our outside of the process model right? So kind of like global የሆነ ሩል ኢንፑት ያስፈልገኛል right there so process model like እዚህ ጋር ሩል ኢንፑት ብዬ ክሬት ያደረኳቸው ነገሮች right? ሩል ኢንፑት እያልን አራይ ባንክ ሩል ኢንፑት ያደረግን ክሬት ያደረግናቸው ነገሮችን we need to create the same thing on the process so we can pass it right? can do ወደ ሌላ ኦብጀክት ላይ ፓስ ማድረግ እንችላለን the same structure ነው ማለት ነው so እዚህ ጋር ሩል ኢንፑት አልኩትኝ ኢንተርፌስ ላይ when I come to process model I will say it's a PV right? not RI it's going to be PV PV stands for process variable right? because it's going to vary right? so process variable like process variableዎች ላይ ሴቭ ማድረግ ይችላል ኢንተርፌስ ላይ ሲመጣ ሩል ኢንፑት ይሆናል process ማለት so ከሩል ኢንፑት ወደ process variable ላይ ፓስ ማድረግ አለብኝ ኮንፊገር ማድረግ አለብኝ how can I do that so I can I'll go to like the main process here right here so if you come here like so if I like on rule inputs I'm actually configure it this way this is a record type this is actually the value we have so once actually I have this information right once I complete this right I want to save into somewhere right where nothing is there right on the process ላይ ምንም ነገር የለም so like I want to save it somewhere whatever the record in the interface ያለኝ ኢንተርፌስ ውስጥ I want to save it to the process model but the process model don't have anything else right I want to save it if I already prepare ካረኩኝ like I can prepare it this way as well like የፕሮሰስ ፕሮፐርቲውን ከፍቼ variable add ማድረግ እችላለሁ process variableዎች ማለት ነው right for example let me add a vendor ID I know like vendor ID is kind of like a number integer right I can add like number integer type right and okay I don't want to add like more condition here but just I want to so I'll come back with this vendor ID okay so I just add like vendor ID and number integer and click OK right so now my in the process variable on my PV right so PV bank and below it's kind of like process variable right on my process variable I added like a vendor ID right and then I'm click OK so now if I want to go inside to this node right click on the data and then like vendor ID I pass like one directly here right and instead of doing that I want to pass whatever the value we have on the vendor ID right now right and then I want to save it in the vendor ID so that's fine like because it will not change right whatever pass manipulations let me know so my normal so like if you have it like outside መጀመሪያ ኮንፊገር አድርገነው ከሆነ vendor ID sorry process variable ላይ automatically እዛ ላይ እናገኘዋለን right so automatically ይሰጠናል ካሌለንስ process variable right shortcut we can go outside and create the process variable አችንን or ደግሞ like record the same record type like in the create እንዲያደርግልኝ ከፈለኩኝ I can create it right here I want to save it into the process variable if I don't have it so just create it for me right and then click OK it's actually now like whatever the change I have it's actually saving to my process model for cancel do I need to cancel okay cancel all right do I need an update click on create an update right so automatically now if I click OK and then I just go to outside and then like click on the process variable outside I'll see like 4 of them I created right አራቱንም ክሬት አድርጌያለሁ ማለት ነው so now if I right now right so if I test this guy again start for debugging right here and vform right you see like vendor is not available because we are not passing anything else, right? And I'm gonna pass this, I'm gonna pass this, I'm gonna pass this, I'm gonna pass this, I'm gonna pass this guy and I'm gonna do this. All right, I'm gonna create this. I mean, there is no validation thing, that's fine. If I just this now, what I will expect, like if I click on the pros variable, I see here this value is actually populated whatever I populated on that specific form, right? ፎርሞቹ ላይ ሞሏቸው ኢንፎርሜሽኖች እንዳለ እዚህ ውስጥ ገብተዋል። so the only thing vendor id ምንድነው እዚህ ጋር ዜሮ ነው፣ ምንም ፓስ አልተደረገለትም፣ right? The other thing, like if been still here on vendor applicant id ላይ zero applicant አድርጉ። so this is actually not valid there, right? because we need to pass some vendor id ማለፍ አለበት, right? so this all the information are there. So now we know, like this is actually working, right? From the interface to the pros variable, the pros variableችን ፓስ ማድረግ እንችላለን። so the same way, right? ማሳለፍ ከፈለግን value, right? so variableችን ላይ መተን እዚህ ጋር ሴት ማድረግ እንችላለን, right there, right? so now I want to set this value instead of 0, I want to actually pass like 1, right? and I'm gonna test this. Now I should expect Best Buy. Alright, I'm gonna view form, and if you go inside here, now Best Buy is actually passed here. So we're gonna fill out the form the same way, right? And I'm gonna create this guy, right? So let's go and create this. All right, there. Refresh this. Oh, I didn't submit the form. Interesting. Right there, and then refresh this guy. It's actually here one. So if I click here, so I see the vendor ID is actually 1 right there, right? My vendor ID is 1, vendor applicant ID is actually passed. So that means I'm good, right? So I'm just save it from the interface to the pros model. Save it. So that's a cool thing. All right. Okay, so this is good. This is good. All right, so now one thing I'm gonna show you here is, so we added this user input task like this, right? Instead of doing this, right? So there's few options, right? Few things we can do, right? So the first thing is actually here. Instead of doing this guy user input task, so we can actually embed it and then make it like a process start form, right? So የተለያዩ ፕሮሰሶቻችን አይታችሁ ከሆነ, so this is actually embedded right here inside whatever this user input task is actually embedded right here because it has its own advantage, right? So when we do that, so because of the just some task or something, when you do this guy, it's actually generate task ያደርጋል ቴምፖችን ላይ or something, plus licensing cost is actually different, right? But as a best practice, it's better if you don't need to do anything, right? እዚህ ጋር computational የሆነ ነገሮች ዳታ ፑል ማድረግ ካልፈለግን እና ፖፕሌት ማድረግ ካልፈለግን, always better to use it as a process start form. Process start form እንዴት ነው የምናደርገው, right? So the same way right there. So process start form ስናደርገው I want to include it as a first start form, initiate እንዳደረገ inside this guy instead of ከስታርት ኖዱ ወጥቶ initiate ከሚያደርግልኝ inside initiate እንደተደረገ ወዲያው ፖፕ አፕ እንዲያደርግልኝ I want to add the process start form right here. Right, the same way, right? So ቅድም ኢንተርፌስ ያደረኩበትን ቦታ ላይ process start form ማድረግ እችላለሁ. Right, search this guy again, right? Selected and click OK. And do you want automatically create a process parameters to match your interface automatically, duplicate in the Aragabin? Yeah, it's fine, right? Create Aragabin, right? So now what I need to do is actually automatically create Argolian, but I need to do actually need to map it, right? Map ማድረግ አለብኝ. right? So I'm gonna do this pros variable actually here, and it's kind of like a record, right? Cancel this pros variable actually here and cancel. It's gonna be update and vendor ID. All right, so if I click OK now, I see them right here, right? Now we see like the start form is now changed to like, pro start form, right? So let me actually test this, right? To test an arg start form, right? Start for debugging, just please pop up. All right, you see automatically, like now automatically it's actually popping up, right? Whatever the information ያለኝ ማለት ነው የመጀመሪያው እንትን ላይ so I'm gonna fill out the form ሁለቴ ነው like ይሄን form ማየው like I'm gonna fill out this form right. I'm gonna create this guy. Now I see it like like it's actually submitted this, right? Like whatever submit ያደረግነው እዚህ ጋር ያለችውን form ነው. If I refresh this guy again, I will land it on this page, right? The same form, right? Same thing. So kind of like this two is actually doing the same thing, right? So now what I need to do is actually, do I need this? No, right? So now I'm gonna remove this, right? So just I want to show you like how to do it, like to like in case project like or something they are actually the same thing. All right. So now I want to do like what I want to do is I want to show you here one concept, right? The vendor ID. Where should I get this vendor ID? And I'm not actually directly passing like this way, right? I'm actually like this actually is gonna be null, right? While it's gonna be null, like, right? So when like I used it only for testing purpose, right? The testing purpose in like it's gonna be null always, right? So when I click here and then like start initiate this process, like whenever like someone initiate this process, it's actually giving you that's empty form, right? So pop up and then with the vendor is empty, right? The information for vendor is gonna be empty right there, right? Cancel this, right? So I want to actually pass this, right? So this vendor ID information, I'm gonna pass this vendor ID information from where? From my record type, right? Record type like initiate ማድረገው, so I want to pass it from record type. So ከአውትሳይድ ከዚህ ፕሮስ ሞዴል ከአውትሳይድ ፕሮስ ሞዴላችን ዳታ እንዲቀበል ከፈለግን, right? ቻናሉን ኦን እንድናደርግለት ከፈለገ ማለት ነው, like whatever the data communication channel between the two ማለት ነው. ኢኒሺየት ሲደረግ ይህን ፕሮሰስ ኢኒሺየት ሳደርግ ቬንደር አይዲን ፓስ ማድረግ ብፈልግ ከሌላ ቦታ, right? In our case from record ከተለያየ ቦታ ላይ ማድረግ ብፈልግ, what we need to do is actually we need to make sure the vendor ID, like any of the four, like any of the pass ማድረግ የምትፈልጉት information, it has to be a parameter, right? There's a checkbox here, right? Allow the value for the variable to be provided when starting a process, right? ይህንን ቼክ ካላደረግን like variable like ማሳለፍ አንችልም. vendor ID ብለን ብናሳልፍለትም ማሳለፍ አንችልም. But if you want to make sure, so we have to make sure like just select the checkbox, and when we select this checkbox, we're saying nothing, but it's, we're actually forcing the process model to allow the value for that specific value to be provided from the external source, right? Provide starts እንደተደረገ provide እንዲደረግ ማለት ነው. required ከሆነ required ማድረግ እንችላለን. it's this actually required field እንደሆነ, multiple ከሆነ like one to many relationship ካለው, right? sorry አንድ ወደ 3 4 5 ብለን ማሳለፍ ከፈለገን multiple ቼክ ማድረግ አለብን. ቫልዩዎቹ ደግሞ like እንዳይታዩ ከፈለገን ሂደን ማድረግ እንችላለን. So but for now, just make sure, right? Parameters and this required field, okay, that's fine. So now we're good, okay? Now we're good. So let's actually stop here. Do you have any question? Any question for me? Or or any confusion?
አይተነው ያው ደቂቃ አልነበረም በደንብ እንጠይቃለን።
Okay. I mean, is it confused አድርጓችኋል?
Not
Little bit?
really. Not really.
Okay, that's cool. So now we have this process model, right? It's ready. So like it's not ready yet, but I just added like the only the 4, right? So now let's add this guy to our record type. So orchestrate እናድርገው like ሌላውን እንትን መጻፉን አለ መጻፉን ዳታቤዝ ላይ መጻፎችን ደግሞ ሌላ እንቀጥላለን, right? But now like let's go and then like add this vendor contact on our contact on our vendor. All right, sorry. So now we're actually going to add like the same thing like on my like vendor page, right? So like applicant on that specific applicant, I want to pass the vendor ID and then I want to add the same contact on that specific thing, right? So here I'm actually going to add like not on the contact, but I'm going to add it on the vendor applicant, right? So I want to add vendor applicant contact on the vendor applicant record type. And in this case, I'm going to actually do a related action, right? I'm going to act on the specific data, right? So I'm going to add contacts for Best Buy. I'm going to add for Best Staples. I'm like right, for anything, right? So here I'm going to add this guy, right? I'm going to click on this related action, configure new action manually, right? Related action. I'm going to click on add. And here I'm going to add an name. Name is going to be add contact, right? And the process model is 2927. Right there. So let me select this guy, add contact, I believe. It's searching. System is very slow today. I don't know why. Right, contact. So now like if you see here, right? So when I select vendor contact, right, immediately Appian actually sends like this vendor ID needs to be passed, right? I have like 4, right? 4 create ያደረኳቸው process variables 4 ናቸው. But here I just got only vendor ID because I just make them like a parameter, right? Parameter we check ስላደረኩት ብቻ ነው. Like if I make them all the parameters automatically parameters ሰጠኝ ነበር ማለት ነው. So now I want to pass some value from here. By the record type ላይ like this record type ላይ ያሉ ኢንፎርሜሽኖች አሉ, right? record type ላይ like Best Buy or something ምናምን ነገር so የእነሱን የቬንደር አይዲያቸውን ፓስ ማድረግ እፈልጋለሁ. How can I get that? Actually I'm gonna get that from here. RV Bank identifier. So ሁለት ኦፕሽኖች ይሰጠኛል RV Bank ስል RV ፕሮሰስ ላይ ሆኜ PV ባንክ ነው የምለው, right? Process variable. አሁን ደግሞ like I'm actually getting like RV Bank, right? RV is nothing like from record variable, right? It's getting like from RV Bank. So what I need is actually identifier. Identifier is nothing. It's kind of like the primary key of the page, right? This is what I need, right? That is primary key of the applicant table, right? So that is the vendor applicant ID. Or we can also do like the vendor record and that's the field vendor applicant ID, right? In ማድረግ እንችላለን. Or ደግሞ like vendor applicant የሪከርዱን whatever the record ያለኝ or ደግሞ RV Bank identifier ብዬ easy ማለት ነው. like easy ማሳለፍ ይችላል. RV Bank identifier ብዬ like just I'm gonna pass that specific thing ማለት ነው. like now click OK. Come on. All right. You see here, Now it's actually I added a contact record type here. Add a contact on this guy. So with this specific thing. So what I need to do is actually I need to add like now. I need to go to the view and the contact page ላይ ሲመጣ like sorry vendor ላይ እንሂድና right so እዚህ አንድ ኮንታክት ላይ ገብቼ አንዱ ሶሪ vendor ላይ ገብቼ ኮንታክት ላይ እመጣለሁ ኮንታክቶችን አያቸዋለሁ right ኮንታክቶችን አያቸዋለሁ then is going to add like contact add contact የሚለው ፔጅ ማየት ፈልጋለሁ እሱ እንዴት ነው ማድረግ የምችለው እዚህ ጋር ቪው ላይ እመጣለሁ right sorry here I'm actually here like views contact ላይ እመጣለሁ like contact አለኝ summary አለኝ right I'm going to open this vendor contact contact and here I want to add a shortcut right I'm going to add a shortcut here add contact and then click OK right so now I'm gonna save it that's it all right so now like if I go here and then click on contacts I should see now you see like whatever I did right so add contact and then I see it like add contact page right there and this when I click whatever I click add contact from here right it's gonna take RV bank identifier right whatever RV bank identifier when I click on this guy like on the Best Buy so the Best Buy ID 1 is actually passed right there right so if I click here now like you see oh that's cool like should be see what you see like it's nothing there right so I want to see what's going on all right so like now okay so actually it's a kind of like a real project right here right so I should expect like Best Buy from here right because I pass on the action I pass a vendor applicant ID or whatever the vendor ID right come on right so I just passed like vendor ID as an identifier a review bank identifier right I should see that it's like okay so now how can I actually troubleshoot like and does you have nothing right as always you'll see like some kind of problem like that right so like I just added and but I should expect Best Buy right there but it's not there what happened all right so I'm trying to see like if the running process right so I'm gonna monitor what's going on I'll click here I'm gonna click on the process activity and then see what is going on my right there like first let me close this guy right and then I should see 3 of them right there so I'm gonna open the first one and I see this guy and then first what I need to do is actually like I will check if the vendor ID is actually passed the vendor ID is actually passed interesting right but I'm not sure why it's not actually giving me that specific thing right let me see now I'm gonna check here on the variable is a null oh it's actually passing null okay that's fine okay you see the error like the following rule input have been added or automatically mapped for this convenience right vendor ID looks like it's a kind of refresh we need some refresh here and click OK right there click like now validate I'm gonna add check again like if that validation code okay that's good all right so I'm gonna just save and publish again so if I don't save and publish I will not see the whatever the fix I made, right? So now I just save and publish. Looks good. So now I'm gonna check what I need to do is actually do the same thing, right? So I'm gonna click on add. Now I see it, the base bar is actually right there, right? So this is actually how you troubleshoot, like if something is wrong, so you can see the monitoring what's going on, and then fix the issue, right? So now it's base by right here, so I can just fill out the form, right? And click create. So now once I click create, so what should I expect? I should see it here, right? እዚህ ጋር መምጣት ነበረበት፣ ራይት? ኮንታክቱን አድ አድርጌያለሁኝ። ለምን አልመጣም ጋይስ? Right? So I just added here, right, this contact. So now if you see here, the value is not there. That's okay. The vendor ID is actually passed. That's good. Right? Okay, cool. All right. So what happened? We don't know, right? So actually we know, right? So now like we just actually open the process, like we just open the interface and then populate it, right? So we're not actually saving to the database, right? What we need to do is actually we need to save it to the database, like whatever the result we have to do, and then we have to do that, right? So first thing, like actually I need to come here and click OK, and see like first thing, this cancel button needs to be also populated. So let me just open this guy, process start form. I'm gonna make them like these are actually also like a parameter, so we can populate them like is update actually is fine. And process start form, actually clone the process start form, and then like looks like it's good. Refresh things again. All right. So now what we need to do is I want to make sure like I'm gonna like whatever the record we have, I'm gonna write to the database. So I'm gonna write to my record, right? Then reflect ያደርግልኛል ማለት ነው. So for that, like there will be here, so in the process model, if you see here like suggested one, so we go through like each one, right? So I'm gonna give you like the tour, like on the next class I'm gonna go through the tour for the process model, but just as for now, like I want to write the smart survey, I want to write to the database, I want to write to my record. So here there is like write to multiple data store entity, delete from data store entity. It's kind of a suggestion, but also like we have here option to select like write. When you click on write, it will give you like a lot of options just for writing purpose, right? So write document folder, write records, write to data store entity, write to multiple data store entity, right? Or like write new message. We need like write to records, right? So write to records something like drag and drop እናደርገዋለን. Or ደግሞ like we don't need to do that. So right click on this guy, right? And then you just type search it directly there, right? It will get you on the top ማለት ነው. So write records አደረኩኝ. What I need to do, right? I need to set up this specific specific node, right? So this smart service is actually doing like whatever record we pass them, and then they're gonna write for us in the database, right? So in the record type setup ለማድረግ, so I'm gonna open that, double click and click on setup. From the setup, so it will have like a drop down. It will ask me to select the record input, right? So automatically when I select the record, automatically gets the applicant contact record type, right? The record type when I'm so that's it, I'm done, right? So I'm gonna do this guy. So now the only thing is actually now I want to do is two things, right? Actually I want to show you here, like even like error እንደሚመስል ማሳያችሁ. Okay, ይሄን አድርጌ ጨርሻለሁ, right? So now I want to add a new contact. Just wanna make sure like it's published. It's not published. Kind of a glitch or something. Okay, let me see if it's actually working. Okay. Okay, it's published. That's good. All right. So here I actually check right there, like I'll show you. Like, so this actually when I publish, I see it right here, right? So process model is published right there. So I see that this message on the bottom. Process model is actually published, right? So we have like two warnings. Why we are actually seeing this guy, I'm gonna show you as well there. But like we should see like only like process model actually published right there, right? So I'm gonna add this guy paste by, and now test paste by paste. Last name is gonna be by test.com. MD. All right, so I'm gonna show you like a few things, right? So just try to right here and right. So now like if I click here and then create, right, create, I should see them right there, right? Click here again. It should appear here, right? It's not here, right? So let's see what's going on, right? So I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna click here. Now, like kind of like my vendor contact is actually active. It's not writing anywhere. Click here. So why? Actually, kind of stopped, right? Unattended. Do not. No errors have been occurred, but nothing is actually saved, right? So I'm gonna see here. Like all the data is actually passed, right? Whatever we pass here is actually right here, right there. That's good. But like for some reason, actually it's hanging, right? It's now complete, right? It's actually taking some time, right? Because, and now like if I actually go here and then like click contact or refresh this guy. Okay, so looks like I have it here. Where is the vendor applicant list? Because I need to pass like vendor applicant ID on that specific thing, right? So it's already passed, but it looks like if I click on contact outside, just this is the bell right Best Buy, right? But the vendor is actually empty. That's cool, right? We passed the Best Buy, but it's not actually going through, right? So I know like what's going on here. I know like what's going on here. So because of this guy, right? So like on the button, I saved it like here. If I click on this guy and then I kind of like it's actually getting from vendor applicant ID. Let me see and check if I have another one. Looks like, and this is actually the one like I'm actually we have to save. Right here, click OK, save change. All right. So I want to show like a couple of things. Like for now, like let me go to Best Buy again or Staples somewhere, anywhere. Like if it's working like for one of them, like actually it's working like for everything, right? So click on the contact, right? Click on add contact, test two tests. It's gonna be female. It's gonna be test address 1. test.com, right? So I should expect like seeing like that, and otherwise like whatever we did is actually it's not working, right? All right, so I'm actually still right here. I'm not seeing it. I will check if something's wrong, but still like I see kind of like the process is still running, but it's active running. So let's give them like some time to complete. All right, so I want to show you like a trick as well, like how to do it. Okay, so like you may say like, okay, are we actually doing it always like this or like something like that, right? But let me open this guy. It's complete now. Okay, so let me see. Now if I click here, it's complete now, right? So now if I come here, it's completed, and then I need to make sure like if that is actually coming right there, right? So now it's actually coming right there as 3, right? That's cool. So now we know like it's actually working. If you go on the contact as well, we're gonna see them right there, and then with the Best Buy associated with the Best Buy right there, right? The last one, right? Best Buy. So the cool thing like now is actually working as 1. That's fine, right? Now let me go to our staples, okay? So but that way like we can have like some action. So now like right here, previously like you see that actually like it's automatically we're actually waiting, right, for some time like to, so that's actually annoying like for the users, especially for the end user, when they click on add and then they're not seeing like immediately, so they will say like, okay, something is wrong, like it's not my like it says like something is breaking, then they're gonna try to create it again, right? So just to avoid that, so what we can do is actually I'll introduce like one concept on Appian. It's kind of like an interview question. I'm gonna add like activity chaining, right? What is activity chaining? Activity chaining is nothing, but I want to make sure I want to complete. I want to force Appian to complete each node successively, right? So when I initiate this process, right? እያንዳንዱ ፕሮሰሶችን ኢኒሼት ስናደርጋቸው, so there must be like 10,000 or 20 100,000 or like 20,000 running processes at the same time, right? So Appian has some engine allocation, right? On the backend runs ሲያደርጋቸው like sequentially ነው የሆነውን ያለ like ምንም አይነት ፎርስ ካላደረግንበት like ይሄን ከጨረሰ በኋላ then you're gonna take like some time to finish this guy, right? So like ቅድም እንዳየነው ማለት ነው. So what I want to do is actually, okay, I want to make sure like just this is actually completed immediately, like complete እንዲያደርግልኝ ከፈለኩ I'm gonna introduce force Appian. Once you complete this, prioritize Argana, just complete this one, right? So how can I do that? I'm gonna add activity chaining right here, right? I right click on this guy and then just click on add activity chaining, right? So if you see here, there will be a chain. So that means like Appian was like when initiate right here, and then automatically if there is nothing activity chained, it will wait, like it will give like more ሌላ priority የሚሰጣቸው ቦታዎች ካሉ priority ይሰጣል. But if it's actually starting on this guy, automatically says, okay, this is activity chained, so I need to give like priority and then need to complete this guy again, right? And then the same way, right? And then need to complete this page. I'm gonna validate this guy again, and I'm gonna save and publish, okay? And save and publish shows as usual it's taking some time. It's published, right? Now I'm gonna add a new contact on this guy, okay? I'm gonna add like new contact, add contact. Tests. Let me add this best. Fine. Test staples. Not Best Buy, but staples. And I'm gonna add new numbers here. I'm gonna add this guy. I'm gonna add this. I'm gonna add. I'm gonna add this guy as well. Test.com, test2, and this guy, right? So like if I click this and then like click create, right? I just say like Appian just give a priority. Once you complete the first form, immediately just take the second node and then execute, right? So that way I will, I will satisfy the whatever the workflow, right? So right now it's actually running right there, right? Still running, it's initiating, right? I click here and then see right there, still running, right there, still running. I mean, it's because of it's so slow, right? So it should be real quick. All right, it's running, and like once it's actually complete, I should see it like immediately. Right, it's actually complete. Right. So now if I click on refresh this page, okay, something is very slow though. I don't know why. Something is actually okay. I can fix this one as well. That's all right. But like, okay, staples should be here. I think it's already added, right? The contact is add. Also confused. Looks like it's already added, right? Let me test it again. That's fine. Like, just or let me just on my favorite Costco. Right, so we don't have the contact on Costco right here. Right, nothing there. So I should expect like immediately, like I don't want to touch even the refresh thing. So I should able to see it like immediately. So in that case, like desired result if I again all right, so this is good, and I'm gonna add okay, I'm gonna add this guy and then click create. All right, so once this guys should be like it's complete, like in progress, like that's when you see like this guy, that means like process is running on the back end. Now it's actually complete. I should expect like see the result immediately loaded on the first page, and then see automatically refresh it, and then see on the Costco page, contact page 1 in 3. I should expect 1 in 3, but looks like it's going again. Yeah, you see, automatically, like once you complete this, so that's actually the power of like activity chaining, right? So because I ask like Appian like immediately, please, like just once you complete this node, complete this guy. Why how I do that, like because I added like the activity chain, right? So I click right click on this guy and then click on, if I want to disable this, I can disable this guy, right? So that means like now I will see the same sluggish property, right? But if I want to make sure like consecutively, like complete this two and then do that, like added like an activity chaining on this guy. All right, so this is good, and it's complete, right? So now like we have like just a few minutes, right? So what I want to do is I want to show you like I want to demonstrate something, and then I want to show you like some failed process, and then we're gonna fix that, and then we're gonna end our call. Okay. So now, come on. Actually, that's okay. All right. So I'm gonna add it later on. Add a new contact, right? On Costco, and what I need to do is I need to like like እንትን ከማለት በፊት like ፎርሞቹን ከማድረግ በፊት like ከመሙላት በፊት I want to do like, okay, by mistake ነው የከፈትኩት ብዬ like I want to cancel this, right? Actually cancel is doing nothing, right? So cancel ያደርግልኛል, but like እዚህ ጋር ፊት ለፊት ላይ በደንብ እየሰራ ነው, right? So ግን እዚህ ጋር ከኋላ I want to monitor as a developer, I want to monitor, like I want to make sure like cancel ሲያደርጉ ምንም እንዳያደርጉ, like ግን ምን ያደርጋል ፕሮሰስ error out አደረገ, right? Because ካንስል አድርግ ያለው ዳታ አላሳለፍኩለትም ዳታ ያላሳለፍኩትን ጻፍ እያልኩት ነው ካንስል አድርጌ ማለት ነው so if you see here my cancel is true right but like cancel button ስለነካሁትኝ cancel is actually true value true ነው right so ግን like ያሳለፍኩለት ቀጥታ ያሳለፍኩ so this is actually how you do it like no some kind of logic right cancel ካረጉ like እዚህ ጋር መሄድ አልነበረባቸውም right cancel ካረጉ እዚህ ጋር መሄድ አልነበረባቸውም only create ሲያደርጉ ወይም submit ሲያደርጉ ነው እዚህ ጋር መሄድ ያለባቸው so that way we can add like a logic like which ማድረግ እንችላለን አፕ ላይ so if you have here so there is an XOR gate I'm gonna explain that to you like a little bit of like የተወሰኑ ጌቶች አሉ XOR gate is nothing right so like እንትን ላይ ማቴማቲክስ ላይ እንደተማርነው ምናምን ነገር ነው ኤንድ ሲደመር ኤንድ እኩል ይሆናል ኤንድ false እና false equals to false or something ነው የሚባለው ማለት ነው right so XOR gate is actually an OR gate right XOR gate AND gate or something ምንላቸዋል right so it's an OR gate is nothing like it has to validate like one of them right አንደኛው true ከሆነ pass ያደርጋል ማለት ነው so I'm gonna check here on the decision like double click on that click on the decision I'm gonna add a condition here right I'm gonna add a condition if it's actually I'm gonna add this condition just to add a condition like if right there is an if condition there if the value is true right whatever the value in the process variable it's actually a cancel button right if it is cancelled that means like it's valid it's true then what you ምንድነው ማድረግ ይፈልገው right እንዳርግልኝ ነው right ምንም አልፈልግም እዛ ጋር እንዳትሄድ right record ላይ እንዳትሄድ so I'm gonna click on add I'm gonna go back and then አሳክሏለኝ is cancelled ከሆነ it's cancelled right so cancelled like ስሙን ለማስተካከል ነው it's fine it's cancelled ከሆነ just do this otherwise shift እንጫንና right shift ተጫናችሁ ልክ ቀይዋ ሲበራላችሁ so just click on this guy and then just move it right there right so now we have two paths now like ከዚህ እንደጀመረ then it will go to this end gate into logic gate ላይ either like it goes this way otherwise it will go the other way right so በምንድነው based on some logic right so now I have like if cancel click ካደረጉ ኢንድ ኖድ ላይ ወሰደልኝ ወደ ኢንድ ኖድ አርስ ካለ በለዛ ግን ጻፈልኝ right to records so now validate አደርገዋለሁ right I'm gonna do this like and save and publish right so now it's actually the process model is actually published and then everything is good right so now if I come here and then click on this guy and I want to cancel instead of saving right now I will see this process is actually complete right this one was in error but this one is complete and then when you see it because of this check you will go this path and then come here and then do this guy right any question guys where are we at? Any question otherwise